I think it would be fair to say that I don't, at this moment in time, know who my audience is. So until I have a firmer understanding of who exactly my audience is, the most logical thing, in my humble opinion, to do would be just to go about how I look at things in this cryptocurrency market. So I'll just take a very few brief moments to offer you, by way of an introduction, as to who I am and how I stumbled upon this space. And I truly promise not to take up too much of your time, because I'll try and keep it to about a minute or so, just to offer, by way of an introduction, an insight. So I came across cryptocurrencies, I think somewhere in the region of 2017. It must have been about the May, June, July timeframe of 2017. And Bitcoin at that time, if I recall correctly, was priced, I think, about 750 pounds. A bigger pardon, $750. Or it could have been 750 pounds. It could have been somewhere around, that number. Because was it $1,000? And if it was $1,000, it obviously is, at that time when the exchange rate was about 750 pounds. So anyway, I'm not going to try to try and be so accurate with my pricing, but you get my point, right? And so I told my wife, I said, I think it's probably a good time to start to look at it. And bless my wife, as cautious as she is, she said, well, I don't know, up to you, I think her response was. And to offer some background, I have been trading the traditional financial markets for, goodness, my daughter's almost, so that would be, my daughter's almost 15. So I'd say about 13 years I've been trading the traditional financial markets. And so I do have an understanding. I'm by no means an expert, and I don't want to try and come across as a Mr. Know-it-all. That is not the intention. It's just to offer you a little backstory. And I recall saying that this would be a minute. So I know that time is running out. So anyhow, as this video series continues, I will give you a little bit more of who I am and offer you, um, you know, essentially let you into my world. And I must tell you at this point that I did try to get the camera going. And two things. One, I obviously broke the camera. No, I'm not kidding. Look, I tried, and I would record for about 4 or 5 minutes, or as I was sharing my screen, as well as the video was on. It would run for about 5 minutes, and then the entire system would crash. The computer would totally go off, right? And so I got in touch with, I'm not going to take the name of the company because it's not fair for any negative publicity. But anyhow, long and short of it, for this moment in time, or rather during this moment in time, I won't be able to share video, simply because by doing that, perhaps it's pulling a lot of the computer's resources, and it obviously was shutting down. So I save you from having to see my handsome face. I'm kidding. I am a little camera shy, as you get to know. My wife and my friends will tell you different. But no, truly, that is the problem, where the camera is not working well enough. So what I do each day is I look at the cryptocurrency markets, and I think, like people would differ with me, and that's perfectly fine that we have a difference in opinion. Otherwise, it becomes this massive echo chamber where everybody is hypnotized, and therefore everybody seems to be using the group think methodology. So I think it's important to have a different perspective and not come at it as a authoritarian on the subject, because I don't think anybody is, and I don't think it was intended that anybody be a single entity, be an authoritarian, an authority on this particular subject, because essentially it was designed to be open source. And if my understanding is correct, that essentially means that it's not owned by a single entity. A network of computers located throughout this planet interact with each other and therefore create consensus. And so it's the network that is the all-encompassing power, rather than the single entity or the single person. And so if usually there is a single entity or a single person, there is that single point of failure. And what that means is that if anything were to go wrong with that particular entity or a person, the system fails. But if it's decentralized, and by that I mean there's a network of computers all around the globe, even if 1, 10, 15, 100, 1,000 go down, there are a lot more interacting on this network. Does that make sense, right? And I'm not sure how I actually even arrived at this point, but I think it's a perfect segue to talk about Bitcoin. And that is what Bitcoin is. It's a decentralized, um, we're not sure as to its definition. As this video series goes on, we'll delve deeper as to how Bitcoin came about and so on and so forth. I really don't want this to take too long. I will bring you a lot more videos, but I think a great starting point would be, let's talk about Bitcoin first. Let's talk about the genesis of the cryptocurrency market, and that is Bitcoin. So I think if we understand Bitcoin, right, and then we can go on to understand the other assets such as Ethereum, which solves a different problem compared to Bitcoin. Before I actually finalize on this point and hopefully come to a conclusion of this very first video of the Talk Crypto podcast, I think I'll make it a distinction based on my understanding until I have the experts in this space correct my understanding, if indeed it is flawed. Bitcoin, I believe, here and now in this moment in time, is seen as a store of value, right? So it's not designed to be used for payments, etc. Its primary function here and now is a store of value. Ethereum, essentially every protocol, with an exception to a few, but most build on the Ethereum network. So we'll talk about that more, because my learning is evolving on a day-to-day basis. And of course, the last one is XRP. So I talk on this show, for the moment, I'm focusing on 3 assets. You see the fourth one there, and the fourth one is the Flare network. So the 3 assets that I concentrate on, or rather the 4, let's just say the 3 assets, okay? The 3 assets are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. And I'll just make a very quick point about XRP. XRP, again, has a different function to that of Bitcoin and Ethereum. XRP is used as it's essentially trying to reduce the cost of remittances globally, right? So the cost of, like, for example, my background is that of an immigrant. I originally came from India. And in the good old days, if I wanted to send money back to relatives, family, etc., back in India, I'd have to go down to Western Union, pay them a fee, and they would convert my GBP, my pounds, and pay it out in Indian rupees for the family back in India. But so that was the past. Right now, obviously, it's a lot cheaper, but I believe that the transaction times can take a little longer. So what XRP does, if my understanding serves me correctly, is it acts as an intermediary between, the two banks. The one, let's just say here in the UK, and the receiving bank in India. And so the entire transaction is done in XRP and settled in XRP. And XRP has a 4-second transaction time, around about 4 seconds. And the fees, wait for this, the fees is something ridiculous, less than a penny. And I believe it's some fraction of a penny. So I think, I've talked a lot about XRP, and I really don't want that to be my primary focus for the moment. I think it's safe to say that I'll talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and the Flare network. The Flare network is something very, very new. I'm learning about it. And so if I don't know too much about it, I won't speak a lot about it. So if I'm silent in speaking about Flare network, then obviously please understand I'm learning. And as I learn more, I'll share it with you. So hopefully that's a good place to come to a wrap up of this first video. I'm so excited. And the intention is hopefully I can bring you, let's just say, I said 2 videos a week. But if we use that as a starting point, and if I bring you any more, it's a bonus, right? So once again, thank you ever so much. I'm so grateful to have your company. My name is Roger Ferguson, and you're listening to the Talk Crypto podcast. And this is the first of hopefully many. And I'm very grateful and thankful for you for having joined me on this journey as we go through and learn a lot more about the digital asset space. Don't forget to please like and subscribe to this video. This is my first, so I'm learning. There'll be a lot of blunders. So, kindly forgive me. And if you happen to be on Twitter, you can connect with me. And my Twitter handle is @FergieRoger. So Fergie, Fergy. And I'd like to make this a podcast as well that goes on to, the podcast platforms. And of course, will go on to YouTube as well. So thank you once again. Until the next time, this is your host, Roger, signing off. And all the very best till we meet again. Thank you for listening to the Talk Crypto podcast. Bye-bye.